Hi everyone, welcome to another segment of Weenerd. I am your host, Cassie. Thank you so much for joining us. Today I'm going to talk about if a PhD is right for you. Now, a lot of people have messaged me and asked me questions, and again, thank you for your questions, about not being sure if a PhD or even grad school in general is right for them, if it's right for their career path, if it's right for their career goals. And for me, I literally thought long and hard about how I would segment this video, but I've narrowed it down to 4 reasons as to why a PhD is right for you. 1, first of all, you love the subject matter. Understand, a PhD is a long and arduous process. It will take you a while. It is between 4 to 5 years, sometimes even 8 years, up to 8 years you can potentially study your PhD for. And within that time frame, you're studying a very niche topic. And you have to love what you do. You have to. It is very intense studying. It is many times people have a job, just like I do. I have a job while I'm going to school, and you have to find time for it. And when you're coming home from long days of work, to sit down and then read over like 300 pages sometimes of reading notes, you gotta love what you're studying. You have to. If you don't love it, if it doesn't make you wake up in the morning and be curious about it, don't do it. But if you are tired and weary after a long day, but you can still pick up that book and still want to know the answer to this question, still want to study this topic in depth, do it, because it makes you happy, because you like what you're studying, because you are curious about it. It keeps you up at night. It irritates you. People can see how passionate you are when you talk about it. Then do a PhD in it. It'll make your world go around because you're studying something you love. Another reason some of my friends have decided to study a PhD is that it complements. So for their master's and their undergrad, it didn't exactly, they did what they wanted to do, but doing a PhD specifically in international relations complemented what they studied in their undergrad and their master's. And it just kind of put them a little bit more forward. So it complemented what they had already studied, what they already know, and they're continuing this. For example, one of my colleagues, she had done communications for both undergrad and master's. And now she's doing her PhD in international relations. She can be a PR for a government. She can be a press secretary, the United States press secretary. But it complements what she's doing. And again, she was always someone who was very curious about politics. She was always someone who would fight, especially for women's and feminists. She's a very big feminist on women's rights and things like that. So it makes sense for her. And these are things she likes to study and learn about. So it complemented what she liked to do. When also embarking on a PhD, understanding that it is a process and that you need to know that you need to enjoy that process. So, for example, when you're applying, majority of these applications would ask what you would want to have your dissertation be about. Now, it's great. You have a great dissertation idea. You know what you want to be about. This is what you want. But it's a whole process. So go into your PhD program when you're applying. Go into it having some idea, but also be open that it might change. It might change, and that is okay. You're not wrong. It's completely fine. That also stands true for when you're doing your undergrad. It's completely okay to change, but you have to know that this is what you have to have a direction, right? It needs to have some sort of direction. So I've met so many people who, when they're starting the PhD process, I want to study about China. I want to study about Russia. I want to study about nuclear energy and nuclear arms. By the time they're in their 3rd year, they're like maybe talking about the cultural differences between the to different ethnicities in this region is a lot more interesting than talking about nuclear weapons. And that's okay, because they explored it. They allowed themselves to fall into the process and learn that they are actually more interested in something else. So they did that. But a PhD is a process, and a process that has to be enjoyed, nurtured, respected, and appreciated. Because if you can't appreciate the process, you're not going to appreciate the fact that you're studying this. You're not going to appreciate just how much and how in depth the subject matter can go and how far you can push it as a PhD student. And if that is interesting to you, go for it. Absolutely go for a PhD. And another thing that is completely major for if you feel, and if you're on the fence about taking and applying for a PhD, is if you can take criticism. Taking criticism about your hard work that you have put in years studying, okay? That's your main dissertation. But sometimes even about your own work, your semester work, because many times in my classes you have semester papers. You have 1 or 2 assignments here or there, but more than likely, 9 times out of 10, you got a big semester paper. So you're working on that for months, and you have to sit there and have it ripped apart. Granted, it'll be over Blackboard or Canva or whatever you guys are using for your schools, but it can be harsh. It can be harsh. Even when you're applying to go to conferences. You do all this research for a conference. You present for 10 to 12 minutes, and then a whole room sits there and criticizes you. Now, again, majority of the time it is professional, and it's obviously to do better. But there's always those too who are very up in their ivory tower and just look for fresh meat, fresh PhD students, and love to rip them apart. And that's a fact. But you take all of that, thick skin, very thick skin, and you go back to the drawing board and you enhance on that research. You can present the same paper at various conferences. Just give it more meat. Let it have more meaning on it. And truthfully, if you love your subject matter, it complements what you like and what you have done. If you know you can enjoy the process and you can take criticism, you're absolutely ready for a PhD. No one, you're not going to get a sign from God. You're not going to get some wonder to make you say you are ready for a PhD. You're not. But if you satisfy those things, then you are. You absolutely are. And just go for it. Just absolutely do it. Exactly like the Nike commercial. Just do it. Just do it. Okay? You don't know what'll happen, but just do it. The worst they can tell you is no. And believe me, you will get no's. You will get no's. When I had applied for my PhD, I had called up my mom because some schools denied me. And I was like, I'm not going to apply for this anymore, Mom. I'm done. And she's like, okay. She didn't take me seriously because she know I'm still going to go out and apply for more. But I was just upset. You're going to get rejected at some, but just keep at it. And truthfully, if these things are exactly what you've been doing and any of it sounds familiar, go for it. Do your PhD. And you won't be disappointed. I promise you. And with that, thank you once again for joining us on another segment of We Nerd. I'll catch you guys soon. Bye!